A new stage of work begins in the field. The green tractor slowly drives out of the barn. The workday is just getting started. A cultivator is waiting in the yard, ready to be attached to the machine. After a quick setup, the tractor heads toward the field, where it's time to start loosening the soil. This is the first step before the next planting season.
Barney was watering the tomatoes? Now it's time to harvest them. Today on the farm, we have an important task, picking ripe red tomatoes straight from the garden beds. But to do it right, we'll need a tractor, a wooden trailer, and some large sturdy crates for the tomatoes. Barney climbs into his green tractor and heads off to work. Barney walked into the greenhouse, carrying an empty crate. He looked around at the plants full of ripe, red tomatoes and said with a smile,
"All right, let's get started. Time to pick these beautiful tomatoes."
Barney was just checking the fuel level in his tractor when he suddenly heard a familiar moo.
What's going on?
He muttered, turning toward the road. And then he saw her. Toja the cow was slowly walking right through the middle of the farm, glancing around like she was looking for an adventure.
Toja, what are you doing?
Barney called out. Without a second thought, he jumped into the cab, started the engine, and drove after his curious companion. Toja, with what looked like a cheeky smile, picked up the pace, passing the barn and heading straight toward the carrot patch. As soon as he got close to the cow, Barney realized that without a special trailer, he wouldn't be able to get Toja back to the pen.
Well then, Toja, if you're done with your little stroll, let's take you back in comfort.
Then he turned the tractor around and drove to the barn to get the animal transport trailer.
Has arrived on the farm. The sky was covered with clouds all night long, and in the morning, when the farmer woke up to a new day, he saw an amazing view outside his window. The farmer looked out the window at his farm. The road to the barn, the driveways and paths were completely covered. Everything that had been green yesterday was now covered in a blanket of white. The snow was falling thickly and the wind was whistling through the trees. Although the modern farm machinery did its job, it was too big to handle the tight spaces. Wondering what to do, The farmer suddenly remembered his old red tractor. Without hesitation, he headed for the barn.